A black woman gave birth, and the entire room froze. What lay under the blanket shocked everyone. She lay on the bed, her hands gripping the sides tightly, her body tense with the mixture of fear and anticipation that only a first-time mother could feel. Her stomach had been filled with the baby for 9 months, a life she had nurtured, protected, and imagined endlessly. Now, finally, the moment had come. Every contraction, every little kick, every sleepless night she had endured had led to this exact instant. She tried to breathe slowly, in and out, just as her doctor had instructed, but each breath was heavy, carrying the weight of excitement and worry in equal measure. Beside her, Andre held her hand with a gentle strength that Maya had always admired. He was quiet now, though his normally talkative nature had been replaced by an intensity in his eyes that revealed the storm of emotions swirling within him. He could see the pain on her face, the strain in her body, but he could also see the unwavering determination in her gaze. She was strong, he thought, stronger than she even realized. "You're doing amazing," he whispered, his voice low but steady, as though by saying the words he could somehow anchor her through the wave of pain. The nurses moved around the room efficiently, checking monitors and adjusting IV lines. The steady beep of the heart monitor filled the background, a rhythmic reassurance that the baby inside was still moving and alive. The doctor, a calm woman with decades of experience etched in the lines on her face, gave occasional instructions. "Another deep breath, Maya. You're almost there. You've got this." Each word carried a mixture of encouragement and authority, a reminder that this room was not just a space for birth. It was a battlefield where courage and endurance would be tested. Maya's mind wandered back to the months leading up to this day. She remembered the first moment she had seen the positive test result, the disbelief, the tears, and the overwhelming joy. She thought about all the advice she had received, some helpful, some frustrating, but most of all, she remembered the nights when she lay awake imagining her child. Would it have her father's eyes, her mother's smile? Would it laugh like Andre or cry like her best friend's baby? She had imagined it in every way possible, yet she knew that nothing could truly prepare her for the reality of this moment. Nothing could prepare her for meeting the child she had been carrying for so long. As the labor progressed, the intensity grew. Each contraction brought with it a wave of pain that left her breathless, her hands digging into the sides of the hospital bed, leaving faint white marks that Andre tried to soothe with gentle touches. The room seemed smaller now, the lights brighter, the sounds sharper. Every detail was magnified. The scratch of the nurse's shoes on the floor, the rhythmic beeping of the monitor, the soft swish of the sheets. Time seemed to stretch and compress at the same time, each minute feeling like an eternity, each second carrying the weight of the approaching birth. Maya's thoughts turned to the baby again. She imagined its tiny fingers curling around hers, its small face peeking out to look at the world for the first time. She wondered about the first cry, the first sound of life, and how it would feel to hear it. Her heart ached with a mixture of fear and hope. She was scared, yes, but she was also filled with a fierce love that she could feel deep in her chest. It was a love that had grown silently over 9 months, a love that had strengthened with every passing day. And now it was about to be tested in the most real, immediate way possible. Andre squeezed her hand, drawing her attention back to the room. His presence was grounding, a reminder that she was not alone in this experience. He whispered again, "I'm right here." "You're not alone." Maya nodded, letting out a shaky breath, feeling a small wave of comfort wash over her. The support of someone who cared so deeply for her made the pain a little easier to bear, the fear a little less suffocating. The nurses encouraged her to focus, guiding her breathing, helping her find positions that made each contraction more manageable. Maya tried everything, sitting up, lying back, leaning forward. Each adjustment brought its own sensations, some more tolerable than others. She could feel her body responding, muscles straining, heart racing, as the baby moved lower and lower. She was aware of every sensation, every change, every heartbeat. It was overwhelming, exhausting, yet exhilarating in a way she could never have predicted. She felt a deep, primal connection to her body, to her strength, and to the life growing within her. The doctor checked her progress and nodded. "You're doing beautifully, Maya. Just a little longer. Focus on your breathing." "You're ready." The words were meant to encourage, but Maya barely heard them. She was too consumed by the sensations of her own body, the rhythm of the contractions, and the anticipation of meeting her baby. She could feel the final stage approaching, a mix of excitement and terror twisting together in her stomach. It was almost surreal, the idea that soon, in just moments, her baby would be here. As the last waves of labor surged through her, the room seemed to hold its breath along with her. The nurses moved with quiet urgency, their eyes alert, hands ready to assist. Andre whispered words of encouragement, brushing strands of hair from her sweaty forehead, offering comfort where he could. Maya felt an unexpected calm amidst the chaos, a sense of readiness she hadn't known she possessed. Her body was tired, her muscles screamed for relief, but she felt a strange, powerful determination. She had carried this child through 9 months, and now she would carry it into the world. Then, finally, with one deep, deliberate push, the moment arrived. The room shifted in tension, everyone poised and attentive. Maya felt the culmination of her efforts, the final surge that marked the passage from anticipation to reality. She could hear the soft, muted sound of the baby entering the world, though it was nothing like the cries she had imagined. She felt the tiny, miraculous weight of life leaving her body and entering another, separate yet connected space. The sensation was indescribable, a combination of relief, exhaustion, awe, and love so intense it almost overwhelmed her. As the medical team worked swiftly and expertly, Maya lay back, drenched in sweat, her chest heaving with effort and relief. She felt a mixture of pride and amazement, a sense of accomplishment she had never known before. She had given birth, yes, but it was more than that. She had created life, brought it safely into the world, and survived the ordeal with a strength she hadn't fully realized she possessed. The moment was both intimate and public, personal and shared, a testament to the complexity and beauty of human life. Andre looked at her with tears in his eyes, a mixture of awe and relief. "You did it," he said, his voice breaking slightly. "You did it, Maya." She managed a tired smile, her body still trembling, her heart full of emotions she couldn't name. They were not just about the baby, she realized. They were about the journey, the struggle, the love, and the shared experience that had brought them to this moment. It was about the miracle of life and the human capacity to endure, to create, and to love beyond measure. As Maya rested, she felt a deep, quiet joy settle over her. She was aware of the baby under the blanket, waiting for its first cries, its first touch, its first look at the world. The anticipation was almost unbearable, but it was accompanied by a profound sense of peace. She had done what she had come to do. She had survived labor, endured the pain, and now she would meet the child she had nurtured and dreamed of for 9 months. The world outside might be unpredictable, frightening, and chaotic, but inside this hospital room, life had been brought into existence, and that was all that mattered. The room remained calm, almost reverent as Maya rested, waiting for the moment when the blanket would be lifted. It was a simple, ordinary room, yet it held a profound sense of magic. Life had begun here, and everything else, the noise, the world, the worries, faded into the background. The focus was solely on Maya, on the baby, and on the love that had made this moment possible. It was a moment that would stay with her forever, a memory etched into her heart as she waited to see the life she had brought into the world. The moment Maya had been waiting for had finally arrived. She had survived the grueling hours of labor, endured pain she had never known, and now her baby had entered the world. The medical team worked quickly, a smooth rhythm of efficiency and care. Every movement, every instruction was purposeful. Yet beneath the calm professionalism, there was an undercurrent of tension, a subtle sense that this birth was unlike any other. The baby had been placed under a soft, warm blanket immediately after birth. Its tiny body was carefully swaddled, a cocoon meant to protect it from the sudden, overwhelming newness of the world. Maya, exhausted but filled with anticipation, reached out her hand. She wanted to see her child, to touch it, to confirm that the miracle she had carried for 9 months was now finally here. But as her fingers brushed the edge of the blanket, she noticed something strange. The room had changed. The steady beeping of monitors, the quiet shuffling of nurses, the whispered encouragements of Andre, all of it seemed to pause. A stillness settled over the space, a heavy silence that made the hairs on Maya's arms stand on end. The nurses and doctors, usually calm and professional, froze mid-motion, their eyes locked on the baby under the blanket. Andre's hand, still holding Maya's, trembled slightly. Maya looked around, confusion and concern swirling in her mind. What was happening? She leaned forward slightly, her heart pounding. Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice small but sharp with worry. No one answered immediately. The nurse closest to her exchanged a quick glance with the doctor, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, the doctor stepped closer, her face a mixture of awe and caution. "Maya," she said slowly, we need to be careful." Maya's brows furrowed. "Careful? Why?" The doctor hesitated. It's unusual. I've never seen anything like this before." Her words did little to calm Maya. Instead, a new wave of anxiety swept over her. She wanted to pull the blanket back to see her baby, to understand what was happening. Andre squeezed her hand tighter. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together," he whispered. His voice was steady, grounding her in the midst of confusion and fear. With trembling hands, Andre reached for the blanket. Maya held her breath. The world seemed to shrink around them, the quiet of the room amplifying every sound. The soft rustle of fabric, the gentle hum of the monitors, the faint tapping of shoes on linoleum. Everyone in the room, from the nurses to the doctor, watched in silence. It was as if the universe had paused to witness this moment. Slowly, carefully, Andre lifted the blanket. The room held its collective breath, and then the truth was revealed. The baby lay there, small and fragile, but glowing with a unique, almost magical presence. Its skin shimmered slightly under the bright lights, a warm, golden tone that seemed to glow from within. Maya gasped, tears welling in her eyes. She had never seen anything so beautiful, so perfect, so alive. Andre's hands shook as he supported the baby, his eyes wide with wonder. The baby's eyes were the next thing to capture attention. They were a deep, rich green, striking and unusual in a way that seemed almost otherworldly. Even the experienced medical team paused, their professional composure giving way to astonishment. No one had expected this. Not Maya, not Andre, and certainly not anyone in the room. The combination of the shimmering skin and the piercing green eyes created a vision that was both delicate and powerful, a tiny life unlike any other. Maya reached out slowly, almost afraid to touch the baby for fear of breaking the fragile perfection before her. When her fingers brushed the tiny arms, a warmth spread through her, a connection she had never felt so intensely. The baby stirred, a soft, tiny movement that made her heart swell with love and protectiveness. She whispered, "Hello, my little one. I've been waiting for you." Andre leaned closer, his voice shaking with emotion. She's perfect," he said softly. Maya nodded, unable to speak, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. The medical team exchanged quiet murmurs, trying to process what they were seeing. They checked the baby's vitals, confirming that everything was normal, healthy, and strong. There was nothing medically wrong. If anything, the child was extraordinarily healthy. Yet it was the uniqueness of the baby that captivated everyone. Her tiny fingers and toes were perfectly formed, but upon closer inspection, subtle patterns appeared on her joints and knuckles, delicate swirls and lines that seemed like natural artwork. The nurses leaned in, their curiosity mixed with professional awe. "I've never seen such detail," one whispered. "It's incredible." Maya felt a surge of pride and amazement. This was her child, a miracle in every sense of the word. The baby was healthy, strong, and unique in a way that defied expectations. Tears streamed down her face as she held her daughter closer, feeling the warmth, the small heartbeat, the undeniable presence of life she had carried and nurtured. Andre rested his forehead against her shoulder, silent, overwhelmed, yet completely in awe of the tiny human they had created together. The nurses and doctor worked around them, maintaining professionalism but clearly captivated by the extraordinary child. They checked her reflexes, her breathing, and her responses. Every sign confirmed what Maya and Andre had already realized. This was a perfectly healthy, thriving baby. And yet she carried a sense of wonder, a presence that seemed to fill the room with something beyond explanation. Maya looked down at her daughter, softly brushing her tiny hand. "You're amazing," she whispered. "I don't even know how to describe you. But I promise I will love you forever." Andre kissed the top of her head, holding her close as the baby wriggled slightly, a small cry escaping her lips. It was a sound that seemed ordinary, yet in that moment it felt extraordinary, a celebration of life, a declaration of existence, a tiny voice that had finally joined the world. The minutes passed, though they felt like hours. The medical team continued their checks, but the energy in the room had shifted. There was a reverence, a quiet respect for the life they were witnessing. Maya and Andre marveled at their child, absorbing every detail, every movement, every breath. It was a moment frozen in time, a memory that would be etched in their hearts forever. Maya's mind wandered briefly, thinking about what this meant for the future. She wondered how people would react to her daughter's unique features, if they would be accepted, admired, or questioned. But in that moment, she set aside all worries. She only had eyes for her baby, for the small life she had brought into the world, and for the love that already flowed so naturally from her heart. Andre whispered again, breaking the silence. "She's going to change everything," he said softly. Maya nodded, feeling the truth of his words resonate deeply. This child, in her uniqueness, her beauty, her strength, would touch lives in ways they could not yet imagine. She was more than a baby. She was a symbol of wonder, of possibility, of life in its most miraculous form. The room slowly returned to motion. The nurses resumed their tasks, the monitors continued their rhythmic beeping, and the doctor took careful notes. Yet the sense of awe lingered, like a soft glow that could not be erased. Maya held her daughter close, feeling the small heartbeat against her chest, the warmth of her skin, the fragile, perfect presence of life. She whispered promises she would keep, love she would never withhold, and dreams she would nurture for this extraordinary child. For a long time, no one spoke. Words seemed inadequate for the moment. Everyone in the room, from the medical team to the new parents, simply observed, witnessing something that transcended the ordinary. It was a birth, yes, but it was also a revelation, a reminder that life is unpredictable, miraculous, and capable of inspiring awe even in the most routine of places. Maya finally allowed herself to rest, exhaustion settling into her bones. She felt a deep sense of peace, knowing her baby was safe, healthy, and unique. Andre stayed by her side, holding her hand, their eyes meeting in a silent acknowledgement of what they had just experienced. They had survived labor, witnessed a miracle, and now faced the journey ahead as parents to a child who was extraordinary in every sense. Even as the hospital continued its usual rhythm, the memory of the moment, the reveal under the blanket, lingered. Maya would never forget the gasp, the frozen expressions, the quiet awe that filled the room. She would carry it with her forever, a reminder of the beauty and wonder of life, and of the child who had already changed everything simply by existing. The baby stirred again, tiny fingers stretching, a soft sigh escaping her lips. Maya kissed her forehead gently, whispering, "Welcome to the world, my little one. You are perfect and you are mine." Andre leaned close, kissing her cheek, tears glistening in his eyes. Together, they marveled at the life they had created, ready to embrace the future with hope, love, and the quiet, unshakable wonder of a miracle they would never forget. The quiet in the room lingered, heavy with awe, as Maya and Andre continued to gaze at their newborn daughter. Her tiny body was swaddled snugly in the soft blanket, but it was impossible to ignore the subtle glow of her golden bronze skin and the striking green eyes that seemed almost too vivid for a newborn. Every movement she made, every twitch of a finger, every tiny stretch, drew careful, mesmerized attention from everyone in the room. Maya's heart swelled with pride and wonder. She had imagined this day countless times during her pregnancy, but nothing had prepared her for the reality. Her daughter was unlike anyone she had ever seen. The medical team remained professional, yet their curiosity and astonishment were clear. The doctor who had delivered countless babies in her career was quietly taking notes, her eyes flicking between the baby's face and her charts. Nurses exchanged whispers, their voices tinged with disbelief and fascination. "I've never seen eyes like that," one murmured softly. "Look at the color and the patterns on the fingers." Another shook her head, marveling at the delicate lines and swirls that adorned the baby's tiny hands and feet. It was almost as if someone had painted the patterns deliberately, yet they were entirely natural. Andre leaned closer, his hand supporting Maya's as she adjusted the blanket to see more clearly. The baby's tiny hands emerged, fingers curling and uncurling, revealing intricate lines that traced the joints like fine, delicate artwork. Each fingertip and knuckle seemed to carry its own pattern, unique and detailed, as if a small miracle had been etched into her very being. Maya reached out a trembling hand, gently tracing the baby's fingers with her own. The warmth, the softness, the fragile perfection, it was overwhelming. "She's incredible," Andre whispered, his voice filled with awe. Maya nodded, unable to speak, her mind racing with emotion. The baby's presence was almost overwhelming in its beauty and uniqueness. She could feel it in every heartbeat, every breath she took. There was a quiet magic in the air, a sense that this child was more than just a newborn. She was a living testament to the wonder and unpredictability of life. The baby stirred, lifting her tiny head slightly and blinking her vivid green eyes. Maya leaned in, whispering gently, "Hello, my little one, Mommy's here." The baby responded with a faint, tentative coo, her eyes locking with Maya's in a moment of pure connection. Andre smiled, brushing a hand across the baby's soft hair. "She's looking at us," he said softly. "She knows we're here." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. There was something profoundly moving about this small, fragile being recognizing the presence of her parents. A reminder that life, in its simplest form, carried a deep, unspoken understanding. The doctor carefully examined the baby, her hands gentle and precise. "Her vitals are perfect," she said, her voice steady but tinged with wonder. "Strong heartbeat, healthy lungs, responsive reflexes. Everything is exactly as it should be. She's healthy and she's thriving." Maya exhaled a shaky breath, relief washing over her. Despite the surprise and the uniqueness of her daughter, she was reassured to know that her baby was well and strong. Andre leaned back slightly, letting out a long breath of his own, his eyes never leaving their daughter. As the minutes passed, the uniqueness of the baby became more apparent. Her skin, a warm golden bronze, seemed to catch the light in a way that made it shimmer softly, giving her a radiant, almost ethereal appearance. Maya marveled at it, reaching out to gently touch the tiny hand again. It was soft, warm, and perfectly formed. She could not help but think about the journey her daughter had taken to reach this moment, from conception to the long months in the womb, nurtured and protected by her mother's love. Every detail, every movement, every characteristic seemed extraordinary, yet entirely natural. The nurses continued their work, though their curiosity never wavered. They checked her temperature, weighed her carefully, and observed her tiny reflexes. The baby responded perfectly, her movements graceful in their own way, her fingers curling around objects or touching her own face instinctively. "She's alert," one nurse noted quietly. "For a newborn, she's unusually aware of her surroundings." Another nodded. "It's like she's already observing, already learning from this world." Maya's heart swelled at the thought. Even in her earliest moments, her daughter seemed to possess a wisdom and presence beyond her tiny body. Andre gently lifted the baby closer to Maya, who held her with careful reverence. "I can't believe she's finally here," Maya whispered, tears sliding down her cheeks. "All these months, all the waiting, and now she's in my arms." The baby cooed again, her tiny voice soft but distinct. It was a sound of life, of recognition, of belonging. Maya pressed her cheek to her daughter's soft head, feeling the warmth and softness, the steady rhythm of a small but strong heartbeat. The connection was immediate, profound, and unbreakable. The doctor stepped back, observing the scene quietly. She had delivered thousands of babies, but rarely had she witnessed such a combination of health, uniqueness, and presence. "She's remarkable," the doctor said softly, almost to herself. "Not just for her appearance, but for her vitality and responsiveness." "She's extraordinary." The words resonated in the room, emphasizing the singularity of the moment. Everyone present, from the nurses to the parents, felt the weight of it. This was a birth that would not be forgotten. Maya thought about the future, about how her daughter would grow in a world that might not always understand or accept her uniqueness. She felt a protective surge, a fierce determination to ensure that this child, who had already captivated everyone around her, would know love, safety, and acceptance. Andre mirrored her thoughts silently, his eyes never leaving their daughter. Together, they understood that this moment, this baby, would forever change their lives. The baby's eyes followed them, alert and curious. Every blink, every small movement seemed purposeful. Maya whispered stories to her, tales of her own childhood, of the love she and Andre shared, of the world she would soon explore. She wanted her daughter to feel warmth, safety, and belonging, to know that she was loved beyond measure. Andre added his own gentle murmurs, his voice soft but filled with meaning. "You're our world now," he said. "Everything we do will be for you." Time seemed to slow in the hospital room. The usual rhythm of activity, the beeping monitors, the shuffling nurses, the quiet hum of air systems, faded into the background. All that mattered was the small life in Maya's arms, the fragile perfection of her daughter, and the bond that had already formed in the first few minutes of existence. Maya marveled at how something so small could carry so much meaning, so much love, and so much potential. The nurses continued their routine checks. but they did so with a quiet reverence, careful not to disturb the intimacy of the moment. They observed the baby's movements, noting the subtle coordination of her hands and fingers, the alertness of her eyes, and the softness of her skin. Each detail was remarkable, a testament to the miracle of life. Maya could see it in their faces, the same awe, the same quiet astonishment that she felt herself. As the baby settled in Maya's arms, Andre gently stroked her back, feeling the tiny spine, the warmth of her body, and the fragile life that had come into the world so perfectly. Maya whispered promises again, words she knew she would keep for a lifetime. "I will protect you. I will love you. I will always be here." The baby responded with a small sigh, her tiny body curling slightly, as if understanding the comfort and reassurance in the words. Hours seemed to pass in a blur. Visitors had not yet arrived, and the room was still and intimate, a private space where life had begun and love had deepened. Maya and Andre watched every movement, every flutter of fingers, every small stretch of limbs. They marveled at the uniqueness of her daughter, from the golden shimmer of her skin to the intricate patterns on her fingers and toes to the striking green of her eyes. It was all perfect, all miraculous, all theirs. Eventually, the nurses prepared to hand over the routine care. They wrapped the baby more securely in blankets for warmth, ensuring she was comfortable and protected. The doctor gave one last check, smiling at Maya and Andre. "She's perfect," she said again, reinforcing what everyone already knew. "Strong, healthy, and extraordinary in her own way. Take your time, enjoy this moment. You've earned it." Maya held her daughter close, feeling the warmth and fragility, the softness and strength, the perfection in every detail. Andre leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Our little miracle," he whispered. "I can't believe she's here." Maya smiled, tears spilling down her cheeks, overwhelmed by love and awe. In those quiet, intimate hours, Maya realized that the world had shifted. Nothing would ever be the same. This child, so small yet so extraordinary, had changed everything. She was a symbol of life's wonder, of love's depth, and of the beauty that exists in unexpected forms. Maya and Andre sat in silence, simply observing, holding, and marveling at the life they had created together. The first hours after birth passed like a gentle, unbroken stream. Maya and Andre sat together, holding their daughter close, watching her tiny chest rise and fall with each delicate breath. Every so often, she would stir slightly, her small fingers curling and uncurling, and they would marvel at how something so small could carry such life and beauty. The world outside the hospital room seemed distant and irrelevant. In that quiet space, nothing existed except the three of them, the parents and their extraordinary child. Maya traced the intricate patterns on her daughter's tiny hands and feet once again, feeling awe deepen within her. She had spent countless hours during her pregnancy imagining what her child would look like, but nothing she had envisioned compared to the reality. The green eyes that seemed to sparkle with intelligence, the subtle golden shimmer to her skin, the delicate lines on her fingers and toes, they were gifts beyond measure. Every detail felt miraculous, as if life itself had conspired to create something truly special. Andre leaned over, brushing a soft kiss against Maya's temple before gently placing a kiss on their daughter's forehead. "She's perfect," he whispered, almost as if saying it out loud could help the words match the reality. Maya smiled softly, a mixture of exhaustion, relief, and profound joy flooding her senses. "Perfect and ours," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "We get to be her family. We get to watch her grow, protect her, and love her." The medical staff moved quietly around the room, checking their charts, taking notes, and occasionally asking questions. Even they seemed affected by the quiet magic in the air. One nurse commented softly, "You'll never forget this moment." "She's remarkable," the doctor nodded, offering an approving smile. "A child like this reminds you why we do what we do. Life has a way of surprising us." Maya held her daughter tightly, feeling the fragile weight of her body, the warmth of her skin, and the steady, tiny heartbeat beneath her hands. She realized that motherhood was more than she had anticipated. It wasn't just about carrying a child, enduring labor, or keeping her safe. It was about witnessing the miracle of life firsthand, and feeling an unshakable connection to someone entirely dependent on you. She could already feel a fierce protective instinct rising within her, one that would only grow stronger with time. Andre gently held one of the baby's hands in his own, marveling at the delicate fingers and the unique patterns etched across her skin. "It's incredible," he murmured. "Each detail is perfect. It's like she's been made with love and care down to the tiniest line." Maya nodded, brushing her thumb over one of the tiny fingers. "Every little thing about her is extraordinary," she said softly. "I've never felt love like this before, Andre. It's like it's always been waiting inside me, and now it has somewhere to go." Time seemed to stretch, a soft, endless moment where the three of them existed in a bubble of awe and tenderness. The baby began to make small cooing sounds, tiny noises that made their hearts swell. Maya leaned down, speaking softly to her daughter. "Do you know how much we've been waiting for you? We've been dreaming of this day for months, imagining every little thing about you. And now you're here, you're real, and you're ours." The baby responded with a slight wiggle and a tiny squeak, as if acknowledging the words. Andre smiled, brushing his fingers across the baby's soft hair. "You're going to grow up in a world that might not always understand how special you are," he said quietly. "But we'll be here every step of the way. You'll always know that you're loved, safe, and cherished." Maya nodded, feeling tears prick her eyes again. She realized that their role as parents was not only to nurture and protect, but also to prepare their child for a world that could be curious, questioning, or even unkind. And yet she felt a quiet confidence that their love would be more powerful than anything the world could throw at them. The hours passed slowly, each moment a mixture of care, observation, and quiet bonding. The nurses helped with routine tasks, measuring the baby, checking her vitals, ensuring she was warm and comfortable, but always with a soft, respectful distance, aware that the intimate connection between parents and child was sacred. Maya and Andre watched every expression, every small movement, and marveled at the perfection in the simplest actions. When the baby yawned, when she stretched her tiny arms, when she blinked those mesmerizing green eyes, it was as if time itself paused to honor the moment. Maya's thoughts drifted to the future. She imagined teaching her daughter to walk, to speak, to explore the world with curiosity and courage. She envisioned bedtime stories, laughter filling their home, first days at school, and countless milestones yet to come. And she thought about the uniqueness that had first startled everyone in the hospital room, the glow of her skin, the patterns on her hands, the brilliance of her eyes. She hoped her daughter would embrace her uniqueness with pride, understanding that it was part of what made her extraordinary. Andre, sensing her thoughts, squeezed her hand gently. "She's going to be amazing," he said. "You've already made her so strong just by bringing her into the world. Everything else will come naturally. We'll guide her and she'll guide us too." Maya smiled at him, feeling a deep sense of partnership and unity. Together, they were a family now, bound not just by love but by the shared experience of witnessing a miracle. The day wore on, and the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow through the hospital window. Maya and Andre continued to hold their daughter, taking turns cradling her, talking softly and marveling at her every movement. It was a quiet, peaceful time, filled with emotions too complex for words alone. There was wonder, awe, love, gratitude, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. And yet, amidst all of it, there was joy, a pure, unshakable joy that no one could take away. At one point, Maya rested her daughter against her chest and closed her eyes, breathing in the faint scent of newborn skin. She felt a profound sense of peace settle over her, a quiet reassurance that everything was as it should be. Andre leaned back slightly, watching the scene, feeling the same sense of calm and awe. He thought about how quickly life could change in a single moment, how a tiny being could transform a world with her presence. And he knew, without a doubt, that their lives would never be the same. As evening approached, the nurses helped them prepare for the first night together in the hospital room. They offered guidance on feeding, diapering, and comforting the baby, but always with patience and care, allowing Maya and Andre to bond uninterrupted. Maya held her daughter close, whispering promises and dreams, feeling the weight of both responsibility and privilege. Andre gently brushed the baby's hair, marveling once more at the intricate lines on her tiny hands. Every detail reminded him of the miracle of life and the uniqueness of this child they had created together. Maya thought about how quickly everything had changed, from the anticipation of labor to the moment of birth to the quiet hours of bonding that followed. Each stage had been intense, emotional, and transformative. And now, as she gazed at her daughter sleeping peacefully against her chest, She realized that life had given her a gift beyond measure. The child's uniqueness, the gentle strength she radiated even in these earliest hours, and the undeniable bond they shared filled Maya with a deep, abiding sense of purpose. Andre, feeling the same emotions, whispered softly, "We have so much to teach her, and yet she will teach us even more." Maya smiled through her tears, knowing he was right. Parenthood was a journey of learning as much as giving, and they had been given the rare and precious opportunity to guide and nurture a child who would leave a mark on their hearts and perhaps on the world. The hospital room grew quieter as night fell, the bright lights dimmed, and the world outside became calm. Maya and Andre stayed close, their daughter nestled between them, her tiny body radiating warmth and life. The room felt like a sacred space, a haven where love, wonder, and connection reigned supreme. Outside the window, the city continued its rhythm, oblivious to the miracle that had occurred within this small space. But inside, nothing else mattered. Maya whispered softly to her daughter once more, promising love, protection, and guidance. Andre added his own gentle assurances, wrapping his arms around both of them in a tender embrace. And as the baby stirred slightly in response, opening her green eyes and gazing up at them with what seemed like recognition, they both understood that life had just begun in a profoundly extraordinary way. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, discoveries, and milestones. But for this moment, everything was perfect. Maya, Andre, and their remarkable child existed in a bubble of warmth, love, and awe. The first day of their daughter's life had been extraordinary in every sense. A day of wonder, connection, and the undeniable power of life to astonish and inspire. They would carry this memory forever, a testament to the miracle that had unfolded before their eyes and the joy of welcoming a unique, beautiful soul into the world.